and gentlemen, another day, another guest on the Game Changers, brought to you by leading online gaming firm SportPesa. My name is Ucheng Steven, and this time round, I'm sitting with one of Kenya's finest rugby exports, or is it imports, Mr. Lavin Asego. Lavin, how are you, sir?
I'm good, Steve.
Good to see you.
Nice to see you as well.
Asewa na kujua love on the fairway, love the fly half,
yeah,
love the host, but now we have love the coach.
Well, yes, sort of.
What a journey it has been for you.
Yeah,
man.
it's been an awesome journey.
First things first, how are you feeling?
Feeling good. Happy to be in good health. Happy to be alive.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful for that.
I'm just gonna throw you in the deep end right now. Loving the coach. When did this start? Did you ever think about being a coach, if at all ever?
No, actually, I never thought about being a coach.
Yeah.
In fact, at some point, I think I always said, once I stopped playing, I'll just stop on completely and just disappear. Because I look at what we put our coaches through, and I was like, I would never want to experience that.
Yeah.
So, finding myself here, it's a bit of a strange place.
Yeah.
But I think I'm liking it so far, with all the stress it has.
Mm-hmm.
The only good thing is I've lost all my hair already, so I can't lose anymore.
So, when did this illumination come about you getting into coaching? Because clearly you didn't have it.
I think the thing about coaching has come as a necessity for the club.
Yeah.
Because you find that last season we didn't have a very good campaign in the Kenya Cup.
Yeah.
And there's been sort of a transition, sort of a vacuum.
Yeah.
And then the current head coach was a bit held up when we had the pre-season's training for the Sevens. And there was a rough and tough tournament that was hosted by Nondis a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So I just came in to watch the boys train.
Yeah.
But you know, sometimes once a rugby player, always a rugby player. So there's a few things that I thought they could do better.
Yeah.
So I stepped in and was advising them. And lo and behold, that's how I ended up on the touchlines at the rough and tough.
Yeah.
And luckily Mamba had a good campaign then, and they were like, why don't you just take us at least for the first few tournaments in the circuit and see how that goes. So I can say it's been a journey where I've been thrown into the deep end.
Yeah.
But you know what? You either sink or swim, and so far I think I've chosen to swim.
Yeah. So for the kids watching this, they just see a bald man standing on the touchline, but they don't know you are probably one of Kenya's finest players to represent the country.
Very kind words, thank you.
When did you make your debut, and how was your playing journey all through? And when did you retire?
I think first things first, I've never officially retired.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's why I've asked, when did you retire?
So bling, in case you need, in case your back's against the wall, I'm a phone call away. But anyway, my journey started way back, I think in high school at St. Mary's Yala.
Yeah.
It was an interesting journey because once again it was by accident. Because you know, normally every single day, Monday to Friday, at 4 o'clock there used to be games, mandatory games.
Yeah.
And you have to find somewhere to go.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I found myself on the rugby field. They saw a bit of talent in me.
Mm-hmm.
And back then, most of the prefects in high school were rugby players.
Yeah.
So I saw all the favors I could get by playing rugby. And I was not exposed to the usual quote-unquote duties that are assigned to Form 1s in high school, thanks to rugby. So I think that's how my journey started. They saw something in me. I was in the school team by Form 2. Mm-hmm. Straight out of high school, I came to Mwamba, played for a season.
Which year is this?
I finished high school in 2001. So in 2002, I played for Mwamba. The Safari Sevens of 2003, I played for the second string side, which was then the Shuja.
Yeah.
That was the second team. By December 2003, I was making my debut for the national team in Dubai. So it was a very quick turnaround for me. So straight from high school into club, into the national team.
That's how your journey with the Kenya Sevens started?
Yes, and actually when I made the national team, I was called up by then team manager, Mr. Makandere, who was then the team manager of the national team and also part of KCB.
Yeah.
And it was funny because back then Mwamba was a regular feature in what was called the bowl competition then. Bowl and shield. We didn't have a really good side, 7 side.
Yeah.
Our bread was mostly in the 15s. So I think it was good for him to spot me even when I was playing in the lower competitions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So around this time was when Kenya was making its entry into the World 7 Series.
Yes, I remember that time we were only attending, I think, 3 tournaments. There was a Dubai tournament, there was a South Africa, and we got an invite for Hong Kong. We were not a regular, so we only get an invite for Hong Kong.
Yeah.
And I think after one season, that's when we had a good run when we were invited to the New Zealand tournament.
Yeah.
So we were playing in 4 tournaments. So once we had a good run in the New Zealand tournament, then we became a core side, attending all 8 tournaments at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How was the treatment like during that time, during these early days, I'm imagining?
I think it was a bit of a culture shock for me personally.
Yeah.
Because I think the level of rugby at that point was very high, and for Kenya we were the minnows, so to speak. No one expected us to do big things, which was both a good thing and a bad thing. A good thing in that there was no much pressure. Back then there was not much television, no social media. So anything good or bad you do was not really highlighted. But then it meant we played without much pressure. And I think for me, just making my debut, and when I made my debut, I made my debut at a time where the starting fly halves in Kenya were some of the greatest names Kenya has ever produced. So that was Steve Gishuki back then, who played for Mean Machine and Nondis as well, and Kanye Gitonga, who was also a Mean Machine and a Nondis player.
Does this explain why you're in that list of some of the greatest flyers in the country? Is this where you learned your trade?
I would like to see that list because me being there is a privilege, it's an honor. But yes, I can say early in my career, I was privileged to be under the tutelage of some of the greatest rugby minds that Kenya has ever produced. So I also had a brief stint with Sami Kakame, who was the Queen's flyer and also the Simbas back then in the 15s. So I learned from the best, so to speak.
What was your best tournament during this playing stint?
I think tournaments were many that had very good memories. I have, just to name a few, I think we normally had good outings when we went to New Zealand for the Wellington Sevens. Because first of all, it's a rugby country, and they really supported us, and especially our first tournament when we beat Australia in New Zealand. So that was big. So I mean, we were their good team to support, apart from the All Blacks as well. But I can say one of the games that has meant the most to me personally, and I'm sure for some of my former teammates as well, was in Adelaide when we played South Africa in the final, because that was the first All-African final in the World 7 Series. So it was just a testament to the growth of the game in the continent, because rugby was predominantly dominated by England, New Zealand, Fiji, and a bit of South Africa as well. But for Kenya just to rise up and play South Africa in the finals, despite us losing, I think it was a win for us, but also a win for Africa.
And then we went on to achieve some of the greatest things. I think the major one was in Singapore 2016.
Yes, 2016.
But
yes.
You were not there.
No, I was not there.
How did you feel about that? This point ilikuwa mpata kama umeshaanza kuretire?
No, actually at that point I was just recovering from an Achilles tear. So I had recovered from surgery. For me it was like completion of a journey that I had been part of for a long time. And I remember it very well because it was also on my son's birthday. So when I paused the cutting of the cake, because Kenya,
really?
Yes, April. It was April 17th, 2016. I can't forget, because I said pause the cutting of the cake because Kenya was playing Fiji in the finals. And we were hunched over in like a small screen, just streaming the game. And I remember when we dominated, it was a good feeling for me. But I can say it was good to see what we worked towards being accomplished, even though it was not accomplished in my time. But I feel as though I was still part of that particular journey. I mean, the proverbial Bible, they'll say that Moses did not see the promised land, but he was still vital for the whole journey.
Which brings me to my next point. At least now rules have changed with the HSBC rugby series, and now Kenya is in Division 2. First of all, what do you make of that?
Personally, I think in my view, it was very unfair, because all the investment that the team made, that's from the players and also from the stakeholders, was majorly to give Kenya a chance to go back to the World Series as a core team. So everything was geared towards that achievement. And Kenya having achieved that,
Yeah.
and it being withdrawn from them at the 11th hour, I think for me personally it was very unfair. Because what does it mean for all those who sacrificed their time, their resources for that one goal, only for goals to shift at that last moment? So personally, I think it was unfair. Decisions were made for whatever reason, consultations or lack thereof, but we find ourselves in the situation that we're in. And I think as a country, we make the most of it.
A lot of people argue the decision will probably kill rugby more than it will help it, because now only the top 8 nations get to play all these tournaments across the world, and then us, we have to rely on 3, and then another 3.
I mean, I think I had some former national team coaches say it's sort of like a clique of the elites, and then there's the rest, which doesn't really do much in terms of rugby development, which personally I've been a beneficiary of, but also some of the other rugby playing nations. I mean, if you look at Zimbabwe making it to the Rugby 15s World Cup, it's because of exposure to those levels of rugby. So, I mean, it will sort of kill that competitive nature and also that level of growth. But I think it's also an opportunity for the quote-unquote tier 2 nations to sort of reinvent themselves and see how they can provide that platform for their players and for their unions, and also to give back a return on investment for their particular sponsors, so that despite being it in a sort of Division 2, they can also have that level of competition that tries to be at par with their counterparts in Division 1.
Just as we wrap up about your playing career and all that, I want to put you on the spot for a minute now. Can you just please name for me some of the best players, or can you name a Kenya Sevens dream team from a Lavin Asego point of view?
Does this include the current playing crop or from my time?
Should it? I think from your time.
From my time, I think from my time is a bit easier. I mean, I've played with some of the greatest rugby players this country has produced. But if you were to sort of put me in a corner and force me to choose, from my list, you can tell that I'll be a bit biased. But if I was to pick from previous generations, starting prop, I think I would go with Dennis the Ironman Mwanja. I think followed by Victor Odur, aka Opong, and then Humphrey Kayange at prop as well. Scrum half, wow. Scrum half, I would have to go with Michael Wanjala at number 9. I'll be at number 10, obviously. At number 12, at the center, I'd have to go with Namco's Ian Simiu. And then on the wing, none other than the top try scorer during my time, Mr. Collins Injera.
All right.
And I'm very cognizant of the fact that I've left out a very great, just special mentions to the likes of Lucas Onyango, of course Biko Adema, but the late Benjamin Naimba at prop. But I've been forced to pick only 7.
All right. Just as we got into the Kenya Sevens now, you see what the kind of boys are trying to do. Just unfortunate not to maintain their series status this year. But what do you make of future of Sevens in the country and just moving forward?
I think for Kenyan rugby, I think it's always been the other way around, because if you look at the tier 1 nations, they use 7s as a feeder program to the 15s. So you find that they use 7s as if you're coming back from injury, if you're a player under a watch, if you're a player they'd like to pick but they're not sure about you, they send you to the 7 setup. Then when you make it, you go to the 15 setup. But for Kenya, 7s has really been a goose that lays the golden egg. So everyone sort of dreams to play in the 7 setup. Unfortunately, we find ourselves where we are at the moment. What I'd like to see in a perfect situation would be, first of all, is the partners who came in to support the team staying with the team, because that's the only way we can maintain a 7 setup. In that, with the coaching, with the players, and just to have if they have the academy players, because running that program needs resources. And you see, it's just an urge to the sponsors just to remain with the team, because Sevens has to reinvent itself. We might not be sort of commercially viable in terms of broadcast with the tier 1 nations, but I think Sevens has changed lives. Sevens has changed my life. And I think it has the potential to change lives as well, because you find that the juniors who come through the setup, their lives will be changed through the 7 setup. And that, I think, if you're serious about the 15s program as well, they can use 7s as a build-up to have the 15s program thrive as well. Right? So it was unfortunate we missed out on the Rugby World Cup, but I think still the 7s vibrant 7s program, we can attract some of the top talents, and hopefully through that feed it to the 15 system.
Yeah, just on the point, you've laid it out really well. You've said our 7s is what we really depend on, instead of the other way around.
Yes.
And just in Uganda, I was in Uganda for the qualifiers, and there was some sort that we are currently lacking in creativity in the fly half position. There's probably not much creativity like your times. Where do you think we went wrong, or the rain started beating us from that point?
I think it's not a matter of going wrong. I think it's the evolution of the game. Because even watching the local 7 circuit, I saw someone make a comment that the strongest team physically will win. And I think back then, one of the things that helped me as a flav is that when I joined Mwamba, Mwamba first of all did not have the biggest of forwards. So it meant I had to be evasive, I had to be elusive for me to survive. And through that, I could spot gaps where there are not gaps. But you find that these days, you find that there's so much emphasis on the brute force of the game. So you find that the creativity has sort of been curtailed. But I still believe that even with that brutality and the physicality of the game, there is still room for that creative flyer. There is still room for that flyer who has a vision for the gap. Because you find that the strength would only take you so far. What if you meet a team that's stronger than you? What's your fallback plan? So I think it needs a shift of the mindset. That's why I still like seeing a dummy switch here and there, and no look pass here and there. I'm a bit of I'm a sucker for the old school fly half, so to speak. Even my favorite players are the Steve Lackhams, the Carlos Spencers, flashy fly halves. And I still think Kenya's strength is the creativity and the speed. It's a good thing that you have the strength now, but if you can still maintain a mixture of both, then I think for us we can go back to our playing culture.
All right. Yeah. Which brings me to my next point now. You're in charge of Mwamba. You're in charge of executing all these things you're telling me right now, and passing them down to the next players. And just this challenge in the early days, in the early months, how has it been, and how have you taken it in?
I think the challenge for me is, first of all, Mwamba has a young set of players, young both in years and in experience. So for me, I don't have the quote-unquote luxury of players who've been in the sevens, no, the club sevens for setup. Forget even the national team setup. Because for the national team, we only have Tony, who at the moment is not part of our training squad. He might join us a bit later for that experience, but I've had to sort of dumb it down, for a lack of a better term, just to bring it back to the basics. And Mamba as well is not the player. The players are not the biggest in the circuit. So we really have to be creative, use our speed, move the ball into space. So for me, that has been a challenge. It will take a bit of time to click. You look at the last tournament we had in Driftwood. We had 0 wins out of 5. But I think for me, it's looking at a bigger picture. And for the boys, just to try and see what we are working towards. It's a bigger picture in that through the sevens program, the success of the sevens team is also a build-up for our 15th season next season, because we're playing in the championship. We're not in the Kenya Cup. So it's also something to bring the boys back together, because last season was a big disappointment for us. But for me, having a training session, the first training session that can have like over 25 players, for me is encouraging. And for me, I just want to encourage them, despite the scores, the results that have not gone our way. Let's just stick to a particular way of play that I believe the Mwamba boys will be accustomed to, because some of these boys, I cannot force them, and I cannot put them in a system that emphasizes brute force, because I'll be doing them disservice. So I have to think of a creative way with the other coaching staff to utilize their strength, to bring out their uniqueness. So far it did not work out, but I think we'll still keep there. Wherever the sevens, the local 7 circuit, wherever we end up at the end of the circuit, I believe whatever we'll do in the local 7 circuit will be a builder for our 15s next season in our quest to come back to the Kenya Cup.
Yeah. And I think this is kind of a point of a reset for Mwamba as a club.
Yes, it is.
Because they are relegated from the Kenya Cup now into the championship, but now it gives you a chance now. Also, I think with the squad you guys have, it's mostly composed of young players.
Yes.
That's from high school. At least Diala was there last year in the training setup with Morans. But what's the long goal now? What's the target? What's the objective?
I think the objective from a coaching perspective is for the sevens, we want to remain competitive. We want to get a few scalps, because I believe that's what motivates the players, because it shows them that you are capable.
Yeah.
So for the sevens is to remain competitive. If you can get into a quarterfinals of the main cup here and there, that would be even better.
Yeah.
But if, knock on wood, if you drop down, I still want us to be competitive, because there's still points to play for. Yeah. And if you don't get the points, you don't get invited for the Division 1 of the next tournament. So that's that for the sevens. For the 15s, I think there's a much bigger setup for the 15s, which requires a bit more resources. Yeah. But for the 15s, we want to go back to a Kenya Cup as soon as possible, because unfortunately with the relegation, we've lost some of our key players. Yeah. So this gives an opportunity to the other players to just come into the setup and step forward and keep the name of the Rock flying high. So
you're already in charge of the sevens. Are you going to be in charge of the 15s?
Hopefully not. Hopefully not. For the 15s, I don't think I'll be in charge, but I mean, I can just come in and here and there, just take care of the backs when called upon. But there's a whole different coaching setup for the 15s. Right. But whenever I'm called upon to step in, I'll be more than willing. Hopefully, my schedule allowing, because I believe a bulk of the sevens players will be the backs for the 15s.
Yeah. And Kulabu fans are known for their pride. Yes. Of associating with Kulabu. Yeah. Once in Mwamba, you're always in Mwamba.
Yes.
And just what would be your message to them? Just this starting from Driftwood. I know Driftwood wasn't so good for you guys, but it's a learning phase. You guys are building. Just what would be your message to these guys?
I think first of all, a big thanks to all the Kulabu fans, the diehard fans, who've stayed with us, even through this difficult moment as a club. We lost our grounds. We've had to move. We have had to move quite a bit. It sort of destabilized us, but the fans have always stayed with us. They've showed up. They've lifted up their hands when called upon by the club, either to buy merchandise, just to contribute, to support, either with monetary or other resources. They've always showed up for us, and I'd urge them just to keep showing up for us. Our next tournament is in Nakuru, not too far off. I'm sure there's quite a number of them who will travel. We have a few tournaments coming up in Nairobi. There's also our home tournament, Kabeberi. So definitely the fans, just keep supporting Mamba. Come watch the boys train, talk to them. I know the banter is always there, but develop a thick skin. As Mamba, we've always developed a thick skin. Yeah. But I always say about banter, if you dish it out, you must be able to take it. Yeah. And I think for us, it's our turn to take it. But all shout out to the fans for always supporting us.
All right. Just lastly, to your players, what would be a message to them, and what would you like to see from them as you go on this journey?
For my players, my message to them is rugby gave me exposure to things that I wouldn't ordinarily be exposed to. And I think for me, rugby, for my players, and for me as well, it was a means to an end. It was not the end itself, because up until we professionalized the game, at some point, they will be on this seat, having either retired or being in the coaching setup. So I'd like for them just to, when they have the time and the energy, just to maximize themselves. Don't go into any training session 50-50, because it's a contact sport. So just do whatever you can, when you can, and just wherever you are, either with Mwamba or even other players in other clubs, wherever you are, represent yourself to the maximum, represent your family to the maximum, and God willing, when the time will come, represent your nation to the maximum.
Ladies and gentlemen, there you've had it from Lavin Asego himself, who's going on this coaching journey with a young Mwamba side, and who was slightly on a reset journey, having fallen from the Kenya Cup into the championship. But Lavin Asego's word is, this is just the start. Till next time, that has been Game Changers, Episode 3, with the great Lavin Asego himself. Thank you very much.
Asante sana, Steve.